Hello, everyone, and welcome to Historically Black Sense News. I'm your host, Shamai Cook. We have a great show in store for you tonight, so let's get started. The North Carolina State Board of Elections voted to remove the voting sites from numerous colleges across the state, including North Carolina A&T. Last week, students from NCAT packed the board's meeting in Raleigh to support an early voting site on their campus for the upcoming primary elections. But after the board's vote, students started to voice their concerns and began to protest against the decision. Board Chairman Francis D. Luca even threatened to call the cops on students if they didn't leave. Our first guest is a student civic engagement organizer at NCAP and was in the room where it happened and was one of those protesters. Please welcome Shia Rosier to the show. Hello, Shia. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Historically Black Sense. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I am well. Thank you so much for coming on. Can you walk us through what did it feel like to be in that room on January 13th? You know, when they adopted this proposal and the board rejected to have NCAT as one of the polling sites for this upcoming primary election.
Thank you for that. I think it was an overarching feeling of disappointment, being told that, student voices don't matter. I think for this matter and just for the context of it, it's important to know that this fight started a while back in November when student protesters actually went to the Guilford County Board of Elections to protest for our polling sites. And in a similar manner to what happened in January, there was no public comment, no concerns taken. It was just students with signage when our polling sites were voted against. So I think this time was even more stark because we packed out not only that room, but the overflow room to the point where the building was at capacity. And despite this stark effort, they didn't hear us. They didn't care to hear us. It wasn't about there not being enough support, not being enough turnout, or being enough resources because we offered to work our own polling sites for free. So it was extremely disappointing for it to happen. But I think it's a moreover sign of the political climate that we're in today.
Yeah. Chairman D. Luca mentioned that parking was one of the reasons of opposing, the use of campus voting sites. What's the reality for NCAT students about parking and in all this stuff? Is this true?
I don't believe it to be so. The North Carolina A&T Dudley building has been used as a polling site throughout the general elections for many years. I voted there at least twice since I've been there as a third-year student. And the reality is that they keep Dudley open purposely during the early election cycling, where you can have drive-up ballots as well as park throughout that lot to go and vote. So that hasn't proven to be an issue before when we had over 6,000 people come and vote in the last presidential election, and it wouldn't have been an issue this election cycle either.
One of your fellow organizers said at the meeting, this is a quote, if it didn't matter, they would not have been working this hard to take it away. What do you think was really behind this decision to remove, the voting site from HBCUs and other college or campus in North Carolina?
Yeah, I think that actually might have been my quote. But I think it's really important to know. I think oftentimes people try and make it seem like student voices don't matter and college voices don't matter. And the reality is, if they didn't matter, they would just give us a site. It would be less work for them to get us out of their faces and just to give us that polling site. But they're not doing that simply because our voices do matter. I think, historically, that college votes as well as educated votes lean more liberal. And, for these new state board of elections, people who have been appointed by Republican state auditors, that's not the reality that they want to face. That's not the voices that they want to amplify. So if you look at the Guilford County Board of Elections site that was planned and passed, not only did they take away A&T's polling site, they took away UNCG's as well as all of those on the east side of more minority voters and put them all up towards the airport and the wealthier communities, because at the end of the day, those are the voices that they want to amplify. Those are the voices that will keep them in office, and those are the voices that will keep going with their agenda. So, unfortunately right now they do have the power to at least, tamper with where these polling sites are, but the reality is we still have the power of our voices. And I think if anything, students should leave this feeling more empowered in their voices and more excited to go out and use them.
Jeff Carmen, the board's only Black member, came up to students afterwards and encouraged you guys to keep working. So what's the next step for you guys, and how did you guys take that that feedback from the board member Jeff Carmen.
Yeah, we are very grateful to Jeff Carmen and his advocacy for North Carolina A&T throughout that meeting, as well as just various voters that were there proposing their plan. And the fact of the matter is, we still have to get out to vote, despite of how these elections and these meetings came out. We have to vote, even more importantly now than ever. So we are now organizing to have shuttling for anybody who wants to help. There are fundraisers available in our Protect Ours NC Instagram bio.
Mhm.
We're organizing shuttling both independently and through the university. And we're just pushing even harder to get out to vote. I hope that the eyes that are on it will help us in this participation in democracy. And I hope that students will participate even harder in this voting process.
What message do you want North Carolina voters to understand about what's happening right now? You mentioned you think it's an attack on young voters? Do you think it's an attack on young educated voters, or what's the message that you think this board of elections in North Carolina is sending to the rest of the country in the state?
Yeah, and as important as it is to know that they took away A&T's polling site and other college polling sites, a large discussion that happened before they got to our polling sites was about Sunday voting and about polling places.
Mm.
Now, it's important to know that Sunday voting is mainly used by minority voters, Black voters. So the whole meeting, more than just taking away our polling site, was making sure that minority voices were silenced to the best of their ability, even in counties where the majority had already proposed plans for Sunday voting, even one where a Republican leader strayed away from her party to push for Sunday voting. They took that away. So I think what the North Carolina Board of Elections is doing and what they're saying is that they are looking at a specific demographic to vote. And if you are not a part of that specific demographic, whether that is a person of color, a young voter, a college voter, they are not trying to empower your vote. They're not trying to make it easier for you. So the message that I would like everybody to take from this is, don't let them take it away. Even if it's not easy, you have to get out and continue to vote.
Well, we appreciate, bless you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much for coming. And how can people support your, students? Because you talk about there's fundraising for shuttles, that's money. So how can people support you guys?
We will make sure to send you all the link. But if you follow us on Instagram, Protect Ours NC, within the link in our bio, you'll find our fundraising efforts. Our email also is protectoursnc@gmail.com. You can either use that link to donate or reach out directly, and one person on our team will get back to you. And those are the ways that you can help and contribute to this effort.
Thank you so much, Saya Rogier, for coming on Historically Black Census News. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. That does it for us. We will see you guys next time here. It was here on Historically Black Census News. For all of us here at Historically Black Census News, I'm Shemai Cook. See you guys next time.